future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
Greetings and salutations, everyone, and you have once again turned into Dr. Judy WTF, and I'm your host, Walt Lusk, and of course, Dr. Judy Rosenberg is here in the house, and those of you that watch our show just a couple of times, yes, we're in a different studio. We are actually in our Studio 1, where we had our humble origins for the show today, but the phone number is actually the same. This is free for all calls, and the number still is area code 323-843-2826, and you can catch us live on UBN Radio, which is ubnradio.com, Universal Broadcasting Network, and YouTube. We're live on YouTube as well, and if you want to catch our podcast, you can catch us on Stitcher, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Play, and Spreaker, just to name a few, and we are Dr. Judy WTF, which is What the Freud. And we're going to start the show with a couple of things, and we're going to have a really What the Freud song by Pink.
Very What the Freud.
Yeah, very What the Freud.
Yes.
So stay tuned for that. I wanted to read one little tiny testimonial I got from a lady this week on YouTube from Amber. I feel as if I can see the world through a new set of eyes. Thank you. Which is
You're welcome.
like,
and
thanks.
I just want to say a couple words about that comment, because really we live in a cracked lens of perception kind of world, and the childhood wounds crack us up. That's why the expression, oh my God, she's really cracked up, or he's really cracked up. And I think that as we begin to take inventory on what those wounds are, and then clear away the dust, so to speak, and step into our truth and clear lens of perception, I think that's so, is that we all could do this. It's not a magical process. As we self-reflect, as we self-correct, as we tell the truth, as we morph out of these wounds of childhood, then we're all going to be in a better position to stop projecting, stop imploding, exploding, as
yes, you
Walt likes to say.
Do not implode or explode, but call us and unload. And again, the number is area code 323-843-2826.
Thank you.
You might want to raise your microphone just a smidge.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Amber. Really,
Yeah,
very
I
much
mean,
appreciate
thanks
it.
so much
This
for that
is not going
comment.
to stay here, but I'll try.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So I wanted to start with an article that came out this week from a gentleman who has smartphone addiction.
Are you sure it's a smartphone?
Yeah, it's a smartphone. He was too smart. He was too smart for him. And mobile devices are easily adjustable. Brains are not. And he was a reporter, and he got really hooked to his phone, and this is really interesting. At 45, I'm a recovering addict. It's been 4 months since I uninstalled social networking apps, 3 months since I last posted on Facebook, and 2 months since I turned off all notifications on my smartphone. Before I started the detox program, I checked my phone about 5 times an hour. That's about half as often as the average millennial, but 3 times more often than most people in our generation. I was submerged in the cozy haze of smartphone addiction that's hard to say how it differed from substance abuse. Comfort kills, discomfort creates. And what it really was FOMO, fear of missing out.
Powerful driving force.
Yeah.
And so one of the aspects of the cell phone is it gives us tiny little doses of adrenaline.
Dopamine.
So again, in a narcissistically injured world, what do we want? We want attention. We want to be important. We need to have that connection. And so smartphone is a way that we feel connected to. And when somebody connects with us on the phone, we feel esteemed. And so that becomes addicting, especially when we have what I refer to as the hole in the soul, which is that place that is very dark and painful and is created by disconnect. So interestingly enough, we're disconnected from. We use a cell phone as a defense mechanism to connect, and it leaves us disconnected because it's a defense mechanism that doesn't really work, because we're really better off eye contacting with
definitely
people.
eye contacting, folks. It's funny,
Right.
my oldest daughter did a paper when she was in high school, and you can guess the whole premise of the paper. It was entitled, regarding Facebook, specifically, Fakebook, Connecting or Collecting. And, if you've got more than 300 friends on your Facebook, maybe so. But this is interesting. We touch our smartphones, tap, click, swipe more than 2,500 times a day. That's
I
probably
had no
100
idea.
times more often than we touch our partner. The reason we do this constantly is because our phone demands attention by sending us notifications. It does every time someone wants to connect with us, every time something changes in an app, every time an artificially intelligent entity decides we need information. Notifications have a barely veiled commercial purpose. Once we start playing with the phone, we likely touch more apps, see more ads, and buy more stuff. It's
So-
just,
Okay.
he was addicted to a smartphone. How many of you can put your smartphone down for 1 hour, for 60 minutes, and
Only
leave it alone?
Sleeping.
Well, no, right, excluding sleeping. Excluding sleeping, right? Short of turning it off. Just set it down, turn the volume down, and just leave it alone. I trust you. It'll still be right where you left it, and everything will be on there.
So healing human disconnect. Okay, the theme is the whole mind map system is about healing human disconnect. And when we're disconnected from, we hurt, and we will strive to have any form of connection. And why are we so disconnected? Because of what I call cause. And if you don't mind putting the mind map up for a moment, we can show everybody the system. I know a lot of people are familiar with the system.
Actually, we went a different studio. I've got all panels but the main one. So
Okay. All right. So the system, which panels are up, Walt?
all of them. But
All
give
of
me
them?
one.
Okay,
Give me
great. Okay, so
one. Give me one. They're individual. They're not the
okay,
line
so starting with panel 1, the wounds of childhood, this is where the disconnect happens, starting with mother-infant disconnect, and mother-infant disconnect followed by father-infant disconnect, and then there's the disconnect between mom and dad, parents, primary, secondary caregivers, reverberating into the family. And this disconnect creates in us a lack of attunement, a lack of mirroring, a lack of soaking in these psychological vitamins that I refer to. We don't have psychological vitamins, then we can't grow a healthy human psyche. And when we don't have that healthy human psyche, we develop what I refer to, and actually one of my heroes,
John Bowlby.
well, he describes the hole in the soul, okay, as something that then needs to be filled. And when we fill that hole in the soul, we temporarily feel better, but we don't really feel better because it's not a real cure. It's just a cover-up, and that cover-up leaves us with that gaping hole because ultimately that filler fails us.
Well, and that leads us to our first call.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for calling. You are on the couch with Dr. Judy and Walt.
Wow, thanks for taking my call.
Well, thanks for calling.
I've been watching.
What's your name?
My name is John. I live in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, well, thanks for calling, John.
Hi.
Have you called before?
Thanks. No, I haven't.
Okay, great. Welcome
But
aboard.
I watch you on YouTube all the time.
Okay, thank you.
I just had a question about narcissistic abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily the narcissist. I kind of can deal with a narcissist now. I'm in a good space.
Mm-hmm.
However, they're flying monkeys. or, I guess they're
We've got a couple of
fly,
questions
or-
about those today. Go for it.
Yeah, so they're flying monkeys. I mean, they put me through hell at my job, at my in my social environment. So I was able to get myself together and become a stronger person and understand that, it wasn't personal. It wasn't really about me. And that's fine and everything, and I'm good. However, they want to be friends now.
Oh, they do.
And I'm really kind of, I'm sorry.
They do. They want to be
Go
friends
ahead.
with
That's
you.
a really good question.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, they want to be friends, and I'm like, and sometimes I'm really like, hell no, and I'm really mean about it too, because they were evil at one point. It was like relentless abuse, or just a lot, just to be a lot,
Give me an example
and it was hurt.
Give me an example
Well,
of the way they were treating you.
They were kind of like, well, it was office mobbing at work. They were like mob. They were like gang up, and like everyone would stop speaking to me at one point. And then there was that was one time, but that was mainly it. No one would speak to me, and they would just act like I wasn't there.
Silent treatment.
And yeah, the silent treatment, trying to provoke me in several different ways. It was ugly.
So what shifted now that they want to be your? Is it suddenly they want to be your friend, or what happened that they now want to be friends with you?
They just all are like, hey, how you doing? After like 3 years of silent treatment and projection and gaslighting and lying, now they're like, hey, hi. And what changed with
as if
me,
nothing
as if
nothing happened.
This really happened.
No. They're acting, John, as if nothing happened. They didn't do anything for 3 years.
No, they're acting.
Yeah.
They're acting like it was nothing, and it was no big deal. And why am I? And where I find I'm having trouble is I feel a lot of guilt for being as equally as nasty to them as they were nasty to me, and I get a lot of pleasure out of it. I'm sorry, but I do.
It's understandable.
But I still feel kind of guilty. I still feel like I realize it's guilt. Like, because sometimes I'm like, yo, I shouldn't even be mean to these people. They probably didn't know who the person was. But then there's a lot of times I'm like, who gives a damn? You guys did something to me.
Okay, so look, here's the thing about the human race is that we're all not doing so well, and so their wounds I was just talking about this in a therapy session today, where one particular patient of mine is experiencing a lot of work stress and discord. And so I was explaining to her, as I am to you, that everybody comes in with their own negative core belief and their own childhood injury. So what's happening is that it becomes this big cluster of negative core beliefs and wounds of childhood, and then they're coming in with, I'm not good enough, I'm not important enough, and you're coming in with yours, and then everybody's triggering off everything. So the most healthy thing that we can do as human beings is self-reflect and self-correct. And so it could start with you. It could just start with you. And if they're being friendly, you can start the ball rolling by saying, can I talk to you guys about what was going on with me? And then if they say yes, you could say, well, the truth is what was going on with me is that I was feeling really hurt. And as a result of feeling hurt, I was jabbing back at you guys, and I just want to take responsibility for my part in this. And magically, if people are healthy enough, magically, not so magically, people will start the process of owning their own stuff. And of course, what happens is if you own, oh, that's so much better. What happened there? That's a buzzing thing. Okay. Is that us or is that, okay.
He's in his car.
Oh, you're in your car. Okay, I understand. Okay, so what happens is when you own your stuff and they own their stuff, what happens then is that people take responsibility and they clean the slate, and then there's no more garbage between the two of you or the eight of you or whatever.
I agree with you, and I told that approach only to be shut down and ignored again.
Okay,
So,
if that's the case, then you do have to work with these
yeah.
people. Okay, so here's the thing. You have to work with these people. You don't have to be friends with them. I think that the best that you can do in this case is draw your boundaries, and you can have polite, light contact. And I think that that is the most decent thing you can do in a work environment, because if you're not having decent interactions with people, regardless of how they're interacting with you, obviously it's going to affect your work, it's going to affect their work, and collectively it's going to be affecting the profitability of the company, and then your company's going to go down and nobody's going to have a job.
And nobody wins.
Right. So it's another system
Yeah.
gone wrong. So, John, the best you could do is don't worry about this friends thing. It doesn't sound like they're your friends. So how about good morning, how are you, thank you, pass me the assignment, appreciate your input, that kind of stuff.
Because the one thing that's got me worried, John.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead. The one thing that's got me worried, John, is they still may be flying monkeys for whoever the narcissist is, unless they figured out what was going on. Yeah.
It's a narcissist. I mean, after many of your videos and everybody, they are flying monkeys. They really don't have any. You can tell they really don't really have anything against me. They just mad for some reason.
They're just following the orders.
They're just mad at me for like some reason. I don't have anything. Like I have no knowledge of what they're so upset about or why they're so angry. I can take guesses. But I do agree with Judy, Dr. Judy, I'm sorry, Judy, that I've kept it, how do you call a co-worker relationship, which is hi and bye.
Hi, bye, thank you, pass the assignment.
Yeah, thank you, excuse me.
Just like that.
Like,
right.
And how my parents raised me.
Right.
And that's how it's going to be. And, but in my social life, where it's more difficult because these people don't understand all the damage that they did, and so here I am, like, okay, I'm in a good place with myself now. I'm happy. I've made a lot of great changes. I'm in the meditation, eating right, whatever I've done.
Good for you.
Okay.
Good for
and now
you.
they want to be friends, and then act like nothing ever happened.
Nothing
and I say,
happened.
well, what you guys did, and they say they don't remember nothing.
All right, so just because, just so that I
Go ahead.
can make a couple comments, because I think we have another, we don't have another caller. Okay, so then maybe I do have a little bit more time here. So the point being that that with friends it's different. You can choose to have tighter boundaries with them, and you could choose to not play. I don't want to play with you. You're off my game plan. And so, again, you can still have light, polite contact, and sometimes that's the best we can do with people, but that doesn't mean that you have to let them into your inner circle, because if you let them into your panel number 7, if you would be so kind to put that up, then you're giving light, or maybe not, or maybe you're jabbing at them and putting some of your own projections in there, and then they're jabbing back at you, and instead of synchronicity, what you're having is a clash, or maybe a vampiring effect and a destruction of each other, and that's not very healthy. So remember, boundaries, appropriateness, in the context of, if it's the context of the workplace, then I think that you just ethically, you have a certain obligation to the company to show up, say hello, say thank you, say good night, good afternoon,
And
whatever, and that's
pretty
about
much it. But let me expand on that really fast. In your world, John, remember, it's your bat, your ball, your game.
Thank you.
Okay? In other words, you are going to, if you want to let them into your game, it's your bat, your ball, and your game. And I talk a little bit about a book written by a guy named Robert Ringer, which is not about narcissists, but I commend you for doing this, because the title of the book is entitled Looking Out for Number One. If you don't look out for you, nobody else will. So, boundaries and the fact that, you might want to get the book. It's an easy read. It was written ages ago. It's called Looking Out for Number One by Robert Ringer. It was rewritten. And then remember, it's your life, so therefore it's your bat, your ball, and your game. And you have to allow them in. Now, with boundaries, you can be cordial with them, and that's the end of it. Don't feel guilty, because again, it's your bat, your ball, and your game.
Nicely said. Well,
Okay.
I like that. So, John,
And
you
we
get
have
it.
and we got another
a
call.
better game of life. Just play a better
Yeah.
game of life.
So thanks for calling and
Wow,
appreciate the
okay.
ride. Okay?
Yeah,
Thank you guys for taking my call.
God
Of
bless.
Have a good
course.
You're
night.
welcome.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. And you are on the couch with Dr. Judy and Walt. Thanks for calling.
Hello, my name is Andre.
Hey, Andre.
Hi.
And you're
Hi, wow, I can't believe I'm actually calling you guys. I've been watching your videos for quite a while, and I've never actually mustered the strength to actually give you guys a call, so here we go.
Well, thank you, because everybody
thanks for
that
calling.
everybody that calls in is really revealing a piece that every human being must be feeling on some level, okay? Or many people are having this issue. So go ahead. What is your question?
Okay, well, I'm calling you from Florida right now,
Okay.
actually.
Okay.
And we have a hurricane on the way.
Oh wow!
And,
I'm so sorry.
And I'm going to tell you, my friend, I've done some research, even though I'm in California. I promise you, it's going to be a doozy. I mean, that's an understatement.
Don't promise
There are
that.
reasons, but no, it's going to be a
Ay,
doozy.
ay,
It's going to be a
okay,
doozy.
Okay.
Yeah, we have our fingers crossed, but well, I've been no contact with my family for about 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And well, now, I've had sort of very mild contact with my brother, the golden child, I guess you would call him, if you would put him into a category.
Okay.
And I would be the scapegoat if I could ever identify with anything.
Mm-hmm,
And well, anyways, he's reaching out to me and wants to know now like how I'm doing and if I'm going to be safe and if I'm going to be getting out of the hurricane's path. And like I ignored his call and I just listened to the voicemail and I just kind of and it's been 24 hours now and I still haven't called him back, and I just feel like it's like, what do I do? You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
When was the last time you had any contact with him?
Probably 9 weeks ago.
Okay, so it's been a couple months.
We've had contact maybe twice, but he's going through his own stuff, and so anyways.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so one thing for sure is that these natural disasters are going to bring up a lot of fear and a lot of fear of inevitable being out of control. Worst case scenario, of course.
Absolutely,
our biggest fear is death, right? We can't avoid it.
Right.
That is the ultimate. And so when threats like this occur, then sometimes family members will rethink and say, wait a minute, deep down in there, wow, I might lose a precious person that I want to clear the air with and I want to reconnect with. Okay, so now obviously you don't want to invite somebody injurious into your life that's going to keep poisoning you and keep contaminating, the fiber of your being, so to speak. So how bad was it between you and your brother?
It was, for me, I feel more victimized from my father, but my brother was definitely right there, with him, in terms of I guess you would be flying monkey.
Yes.
And then anytime trying to be having my voice heard and saying hey, this is what's going on. He'll be the first to minimize it. Oh, you go through it, the many different deflections.
Mm-hmm.
And I just this last time, he had his second son, and he did not call me to tell me about his birth or anything, and didn't text me or send me a picture or anything like that. And so he's definitely I felt like he's they've playing this isolation game, and so when I called him out on it, hey, one of the last times I spoke with him, I was like, hey, you didn't call me when your son was born, and that was really hurtful. And he was just he was like, well, I've been going through so much, and I've hurt a lot of people along the way, and you're not just one of them, and well, you don't know what it's like to have a baby in ICU and a wife in the hospital now, do you?
Okay, so there's the minimization of it, right? You said he minimizes, right. And you heard a panel 5 response. By that I mean, from a mind map perspective, he went into his defense mechanism, right? And
Absolutely,
so one thing I want you to know, Andre, is that the cause of all this mess is, guess who? Who's the cause of sibling rivalry or sibling disconnect? Who would you think is the cause?
Well, I think it's my dad. My brother thinks it's both. They both equally are bad. And
okay.
I guess if you would, my mom would be like, I would be more borderline, and my dad would be more narcissistic. If I was going to say, like, this was how I see the relationship from the knowledge that I've acquired, like, I'm just like, okay, this was the dance that was played.
Okay, so let me just speak to that dance, because there's a concept I talk about a lot called active commission, which is somebody's doing it to you, and active omission, somebody doesn't really have your back and no one really steps in. Okay, sometimes mom plays one, sometimes dad plays the other. Parents are the cause, and again, when I say cause, I don't mean fault, blame, shame, because that's just another system gone wrong, right? It's just that they're unhealed. They pass down their psychovirus, their psychosystem to you, so to speak. And so they're the cause of sibling disconnect. And then the two people of this generation are left in this shape. Okay, so if you could start to understand that your parents are the cause, and now this is how your brother's acting. So if he goes unhealed and untherapized, so to speak, then there's nothing that you could do, because he's not going to self-reflect, self-correct, and he's not going to add anything to you and to your life.
Well, sorry to interrupt, but that's the thing, is he does go to therapy. He's been sober in AA for several years. I think he had a relapse back in just in the last 6 months, but he's like, in terms of relapse, I think it was more like he went to rehab for sex addiction.
I see. So he's really filling the hole in his soul.
Hole in the soul.
Big time. Okay, so what can you do about this? Geez, this is a big topic here, a long discussion. In general, maybe what you might want to say to him is, I'm doing some studying about this. I know there's been a disconnect between us. I'm learning that this is just bigger than who we are. If you're interested in learning about it, we could definitely talk about this. That doesn't mean that he gets a free pass back into your life. That means that he needs to go on a pathway to healing so that he could be a more healed brother, so that he could interconnect with you in a healthier way. So sometimes we have to checkmate people into health, and the way we do that is if you're somewhat important to him and he wants to come back toward you, then there's certain things that he's just going to have to step up to the plate to do so that he can have the privilege of reconnecting to you. And you don't have to shove him all the way back, but you do have to let him know what you need him to do now to heal this human disconnect. Does that make sense?
Right, absolutely. Yeah, it does. Except they've definitely, we're both sort of playing, or not playing. I guess I'm a player in the game in this, but
Look,
he had told me like a couple years ago that I wasn't allowed to be around his son because at my time I was certainly like playing out like the role, like I was I was definitely an alcoholic, like I definitely drank way too much.
Got it. So this is okay. So look, as I told John, the last caller, the best thing we could do is own our own stuff. Okay, so your stuff plus his stuff commingle and create a lot of chaos. defenses and breakdowns, which I refer to as the WTF. And so what each one of you can start doing, you first, because you're the one who's more aware, is take responsibility for your behavior and your consciousness, so to speak, and see if he comes around. Let him know that you're learning. You can could direct him to some of these videos so he can understand systems gone wrong, why siblings are rivalrous. There's a whole video on that, actually. You can look it up. Sibling rivalry is and parents as cause, and you can maybe ask him to watch it and see what he does with it. And
yeah,
so
I definitely know what video you're talking about, and
okay.
he certainly has a. I mean, if I've brought up the topic of like codependency and the narcissism, and I've like really, I wrote a letter about a year ago to
look,
family
Andre,
members.
I know
we got to scoot under.
And I don't mean to interrupt you. I just want to say in closing, what I want you to do is see if he'll bite on more knowledge. Okay, and I know that you're in a perilous situation, and right now you're going through stress and trauma. You've got to put yourself number one and surround yourself with people who are loving and kind and protective. Okay, so whatever you need to do to get through this hurricane, I'm sending you all my love and good wishes, and everyone who's suffering through this. It's just so sad, and it's going to activate everything.
Yeah,
so whatever you do, make sure that you stay not only physically safe, but you stay emotionally safe. And maybe this is not a time where you want to start opening wounds because you need to survive. Okay. So, please be in touch with
Judy.
me, the team, and so on. Okay. I want to wish you all the best, safety, so on. And for everyone listening who's experiencing this, horrific,
tragedy. I mean, the second one in a while.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All the best, Andre.
And thanks for calling, Andre. Hi, you're on the couch with Dr. Judy and Walt. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, hi. This is Jacob from Sherman Oaks. How are you two
Hey,
doing?
Jake.
Hi.
I'm good.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I wanted to call in because I definitely identified with so much that Andre, the last caller, went through.
Mm-hmm.
I was a scapegoat of my own family.
Yes.
Basically, I have 3 siblings, and I was always the one that everyone dumped all their shame and blame on, and I was always the bad kid.
Yeah.
I recently told my parents off, and I know this was probably the wrong thing to do, but in the moment, I felt like I needed to tell them specifically what they did to me, even though I knew like nothing would change because of that.
Sure.
So I haven't seen any change as a result, which is what I expected. But
good that you didn't expect it.
Then you weren't disappointed.
Yeah,
exactly.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm at the place right now where, I don't really care as much about being in contact with them because I know how destructive they were to me. But I'm more at the place where I see how much of an effect, how much of a bad effect they've had on me, and then I see how I'm more vulnerable and how I feel more inferior in social situations and how I don't feel like I can articulate like what I want very clearly and just all of these things. And I guess what I would love to hear from you guys is just, what I can be doing to kind of counteract these core beliefs that I've held for so long.
Okay, so number one, identify your core belief, and there's a lot of help out there. The book, Be the Cause, Healing Human Disconnect, and I'm just going to put it out there because I'll share with you guys that coming up next is a 10-session video that I just finished filming, which hopefully will be out in the next month or two, which will be available to walk you through the entire mind map system that I conducted, including a case study. So that was a lot of fun for me to do, very enlightening. And so what I want to say is that it's really, really important that to identify this negative core belief, because once you do so and then you dismantle it, which is the healing process actually, then that no longer holds power. It's kind of like the wicked witch then dies. You believe blah, 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 blah about yourself. Why? Because of the cause, because mom and dad put it there. They messengered you that you're this and that, not enough, not bright enough, not lovable enough, not important enough, and so on. And so now there's your hook in. And so no matter what they do now that activates it, the house of cards are going to come down. So I'll just say this. The most important thing you can do is understand they're injured. Your core belief is your core belief that needs to be dismantled, and then they will not have the same impact, and you'll have better boundaries. Does that answer a lot of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I really appreciate that. Do you think that it's just like about a lot of self-reflection, or like is it?
It's a whole.
Is it?
It's a whole
Yeah.
system. And please reach out to me, my team. I'll detail it for you. Go on the website, and we'll detail it for you. It's not just identifying the core belief. It's a whole system gone wrong, and it's a house of cards based on lies and misinformation. And it's got to come down. Period. It's just got to be busted. The game's got to be busted. What the Freud.
And you're in the
needs to
neighborhood,
go.
so
Yes,
there you go.
are.
So thanks for calling and being part of the show.
Absolutely. Hey, and thank you both so much for all you
You're
do.
welcome.
I really appreciate
My
it.
pleasure. Our pleasure.
God
Thank you
bless.
for calling.
Bye-bye. And you're on the couch with Dr. Judy and Walt. Thanks for calling. And your name?
Alejandro.
Hey, Alejandro, and
Hi.
welcome. What's your question and where are you calling from?
From Pasadena, California.
Oh, super. Okay.
Nice to hear from you, Alejandro. So what's going on in your life, and what's the question that you have in mind?
You're on the air with Dr. Judy. You got a question?
Can I eat your booty?
That's great. That's okay. Let's
Hi,
cut
Violet,
that
if I have
guy
to be-
off. Okay. And there's an injured soul, and
Okay.
that's sad.
that.
And I think audience could hear that, and I'm glad the audience could hear that, because that's what happens when we have a hole in the soul. And I'm very sad to hear that, because whatever it is that you're doing right now is something that was caused by your lack of connection. So I hope you could still hear me. I'm not judging you. I'm not even angry at you. It's just that's the way the human race is now. And so these kinds of things are an outgrowth of cause. Okay, so I'm hoping that if that's the way you treat people and that's the way you interact with people, obviously it's not going to bring you a lot of emotional well-being and, win friends and influence people. So there's an injury. It's really obvious, and hope that you do some healing, and you can even call us. And I could put some counselor on the case. And just remember that sometimes people don't want to heal. Okay, they just want to hurt people and insult people and be gross this way. And as people, I observe it. I don't absorb it. So this is an example of me observing it. I'm not absorbing it. I'm not taking it personally. And I hope that you do same, all of you, that when these kinds of poisonous words, infiltrations, so to speak, come at you, that you can put that boundary up and just say, I'm sorry you think that way, sorry you talk that way, sorry you feel that way. It's not my problem. So thank you for your call.
Yeah. Thanks for the quick call. Getting back, I want to touch one last thing on this smartphone addiction. The last thing is, if you put your phone down, and you have time for you, that means that your friends will have to wait longer than they're used to for a response. A lot of his friends didn't even notice that he took longer, and or at least they haven't commented. And we overestimate the need for, and this is what I wanted to say, we overestimate the need for immediacy in communication. So there you go.
Overestimate the need for immediacy in
Right.
communication.
Just because you get a text or an email or whatever doesn't mean that you have to really answer it pronto, right then, right there. I mean, if it's apropos and it fits and it works, great. But don't should on yourself and feel guilty that you didn't, and you're not going to wait 30 minutes or 20 minutes or 5 minutes or an hour or whatever.
And remember that if there's a human being in front of you, there's nothing more precious than that human being. So why connect to an electronic device when you have a person that you're right in front of who needs and wants your attention and is there in front of you because because they're there or
And
they
because
want
they're
to
right
be
here,
there.
the whites of their eyes.
And so why not connect with that? So there's a function on your phone that says, can I call you later, or can't take the call right now? I think they're pretty great auto responses.
I'm in a meeting.
I'm in a meeting. You shoot that over, and
You've acknowledged their call and you move on. Or text and you move on.
and this is the thing. It goes back to mother-infant disconnect. When mother makes baby priority, baby thrives. When we make people priority, people thrive. People thrive. When we make everybody priority over that little text that just came in, or that Facebook comment that just came through, then we thrive as a human race.
I thought I'd try and slip in one quick question,
Okay.
narcissistic-wise, before we have to go to our song. This one is it possible I was a co-scapegoat child and now the main scapegoat now that my brother is dead?
Yes, of course, definitely. The system moves. You know, the duck moves. One nice victim scapegoat leaves, and then the new one is deemed king or queen. And so, just because the system morphs and changes, it doesn't mean that the consciousness behind the system does. And I want to make a big deal of consciousness as cause. And consciousness is cause, because if there's a causal consciousness in the family, that if it's coming from the consciousness of relieving their stress, relieving their guilt, relieving their nasty feelings and projecting it on you, there's a destructive consciousness. And whoever is left of the players, that's where it's going to land. So absolutely. So I'm sorry about your brother's death, and I'm sure that your parents still want to run the same game because they're very unconscious and
they
hurt
need
people.
and they need the narcissistic supply.
Right, and they need to project it on somebody. So tag you're it.
Tag
and so
you're it.
that's where you really need to put the boundaries and dismantle your entire system of misinformation. Take down that nasty core belief I'm sure they left you with, so that they have no power over you.
Then we can do one more. This is a borderline question.
Okay.
My biggest question is, how do I change my outbursts if I don't realize what's happening until possibly even the next day?
Okay, for now, great question. Thank you for that question. Okay, two answers. Number one, if you've already done it and you spilt the milk and you've destroyed and, so on, what you do is you clean it up. What do I do if I spill milk, or if I say something that comes out of my mouth that I don't like? Well, I've got to do what everybody needs to do, which is own their own stuff and self-reflect and self-correct. It makes us look a lot less crazy. If I say something, whoa, way out there, and I insult somebody and I don't even know that I've insulted them, then first of all, we're all mirrors to each other. It's a great idea to give feedback. And when we take feedback in a growth kind of way, then we can just go right into that, own your own stuff. And then the main core of it is that all of these dysregulated feelings come from cause. So the real responsible part is to heal that wound, or those many wounds of human disconnect, of dysregulation, attunement gone wrong, and go deep down into that core so that you don't have to live in this, I call it the double dungeon of darkness, and start healing from the inside out. And eventually these unconscious things won't just come vomiting out of your mouth.
Okay, you know what? We might be able to get more news. We can do this quickly. This is a narcissistic question.
Sure.
Is it possible that you can take on the traits or think you could become a narcissist if you are around them a lot?
Well, great question. And so remember Stockholm Syndrome? If you
Yes,
can't
we
beat
talked
them,
about that last time.
join them.
Yeah.
Okay, so if your role models are narcissistic, look, it's a system gone wrong, and the dice can fall any way. If you roll the dice, it can be a 6, or it could be a tiger's eye, or it could be 12. So we don't know. We've got to really look at all of the aspects of what went into this panel 1 wounding. And as a result of that, some people will become codependently oriented. And again, we're using labels, but again, it's the same thing. System's gone wrong. Some people will be dysregulated to the point where emotionally they cannot contain their feelings and they're just vomiting it all out. Some people will close down the narcissistic shell that stops feeling, that the feelings are cauterized, and then they will huff and puff and blow themselves up into a ginormous false self that doesn't really protect them very well, but they think they do. So the outcomes are very different, and that's one of the possibilities.
And that's all we've got until our song.
All right.
So thanks so much for all your questions. Thank you so much for calling and being part of the show. And we're now going to segue into our Shrink That Tune, and we're doing a song this go around from Pink. And it is definitely a mind map song. It was by request for a fan of our show.
Yes.
And it is entitled Family Portrait. Uh-oh, some deep shit. Uh-oh, Mama, please stop crying. I can't stand the sound. Your pain is painful and tearing me down. I hear glasses breaking as I sit up in my bed. I told Dad, you don't mean those nasty things you said.
Well, this is definitely a system gone wrong, and there seems to be a lot of family dysfunction, domestic violence, and it seems like it's written from the point of view of a little child in a hostage childhood situation. Mama is crying, and the child is obviously being pained by it, and it's tearing at the child's soul. And there's a lot of glass breaking, which indicates the domestic violence. And now he's trying to play parentified child by protecting the dad that is out of control. Oh, no, he didn't really mean those nasty things. So this child is trying to clean up the mess, which is really not a child's place.
Absolutely not. Yeah. You fight about money, about me and my brother, and this I come home to. This is my shelter. It is not easy growing up in World War III. Never known what love could be. You'll see. I don't want love to destroy me like it's done to my family.
Well, this person is very self-aware.
Wow,
I love this song. Okay. So there are all these conflicts, but it's not really about money. It's not about anything more than people are having this internal pain, and then they'll make it about different things, about the money and so on. And so home is supposed to be a shelter. This is no shelter. This kid is growing up in World War III and can't get out. Where's the kid supposed to be? And of course, never known what love could be because there's no role model for it. And this child is knowing that it's going to destroy the inner core of the self as it's done in the family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can we work it out? Can we be a family? I promise I'll be better. Mommy, I'll do anything. Can we work it out? Can we be a family? I promise I'll be better. Dad, please don't leave.
This is such a powerful line because here it is again. The child thinks it's all his or her fault. Mommy, if I'm better, see, that's the Alice Miller line right there. I'd rather be a bad child in a good world. So if I behave, at least I have control. So I'll be better and everything will be okay and the family will be okay. Yeah, sure. Sounds like if he's or she's better, the family will really be okay. And the sad part is that this child has to beg to keep that family together. And that's really going to work, right? Begging is really going to keep the family together.
Daddy, please stop yelling. I can't stand the sound. Mama, stop crying because I need you around. My mama says she loves you no matter what she says is true. I know that she hurts you, but remember, I love you too.
And there's another really sad piece that no matter what she says, it's true that she loves you, meaning that the child wants to not see the family blow up in smithereens. So the child is saying, there's love here, and then but ultimately, I can't stand this because if you leave, I'm going to be grieving you. I love you. Don't go.
I ran away today. I ran from the noise, ran away. Don't want to go back to that place, but don't have no choice, no way. It ain't easy growing up in World War III, never known what love could be. Well, I've seen. I don't want love to destroy me like it did my family.
So no matter what, hostage situation.
Can't we work it out? Can we be a family? I promise I'll be better. Mommy, I'll do anything. Can we work it out? Can we be a family? I promise I'll be better. Daddy, please don't leave. In our family portrait, we look pretty happy. Let's play pretend. Let's act like it comes naturally. I don't want to have to split the holidays. I don't want to have 2 addresses. I don't want to have stepbrothers anyways. And I don't want my mom to have to change her last name.
Well, this child knows that the divorce is coming, and this child is hanging onto this happy, pretty family portrait that is shattering, just like the glass in the first sentence of this song.
In our family portrait, we look pretty happy. We look pretty normal. Look, go back to that. In our family portrait, we look pretty happy. Let's pretend. Act like it goes naturally. In our family portrait, we look pretty happy. Can't we work it out? Can we be a family? We look pretty normal. Let's go back to that. I promise I'll be better. Mommy, I'll do anything.
Well, the child is referring to, there's a blueprint of happiness. Look, it's right there in the picture, so just copy that blueprint and everything will be okay. I love these childlike solutions to healing the family. Let's pretend. There's the false self. Right.
In our family portrait, we look pretty happy. Can't we work it out? Let's pretend. Act like it comes naturally. And I promise I'll be better. Dad, please don't leave. In our family portrait, we look pretty happy. Can we work it out? Can we be a family? We look pretty normal. I promise I'll be better. Daddy, please don't leave. And then further on, you want to comment or shall we keep going?
Well, just this thing, we'll skip to Daddy, don't leave. Don't leave us here alone. Mom will be nicer. So here's the solution. Mom's just going to be nicer. Everything's going to be okay. It'll be much better. I'll tell my brother. Okay, we'll be good. We won't spill the milk. It'll be so much better. I'll do everything right. So here's that child saying, I'll be the good child and everything's going to be okay because I can control it. I'll be your little girl forever. I'll go to sleep at night. I'll be so good that this family will not fall apart. And that's the way children think.
Yes.
I'm the cause is the viewpoint of the child.
And that has been Family Portrait by Pink, and I have a sneaky suspicion that might be more of a personal story about her than not, or maybe somebody she knows.
Yeah.
And we're going to close out with a song. So thank you so much for taking advantage and calling in today for Free-for-All Calls.
Yes,
This has been
you.
Walt Lusk, your host, with Dr. Judy Rosenberg, founder of the Psychological Healing Center. You can find us at drjudywtf.com and, of course, on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, and, of course, iHeartRadio. And so until next time, folks. Next week, we are going to continue our series on...
I'm not here next week.
Oh, you're next week? Okay.
I'm going to be out for 2 weeks.
I thought we had one more week. Okay.
I think we're
You know
out.
what? Next time...
Reruns.
Next time, live, we're going to be continuing our series on the emotionally unavailable parents because our response was just amazing. So stay tuned, and thanks for tuning in. God bless everybody.
Thank you very much.
In the future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. And you have once again turned into Dr. Judy WTF. And I'm your host, Walt Lusk. And, of course, Dr. Judy Rosenberg is here in the house. And those of you that watch our show just a couple of times, yes, we're in a different studio. We are actually in our Studio 1, where we had our humble origins for the show today. But the phone number is actually the same. This is free for all calls, and the number still is area code 323-843-2826. And you can catch us live on UBN Radio, which is ubnradio.com, Universal Broadcasting Network, and YouTube. We're live on YouTube as well. And if you want to catch our podcast, you can catch us on Stitcher, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Play, and Spreaker, just to name a few. And we are Dr. Judy WTF, which is What the Freud. And we're going to start the show with a couple of things, and we're going to have a really What the Freud song by Pink.
Very What the Freud.
Yeah, very What the Freud.
Yes.
So stay tuned for that. I wanted to read one little tiny testimonial I got from a lady this week on YouTube from Amber. I feel as if I can see the world through a new set of eyes. Thank you. Which is
You're welcome.
like,
and
like,
I just want to say a couple words about that comment, because really we live in a cracked lens of perception kind of world, and the childhood wounds crack us up. That's why the expression, oh my God, she's really cracked up, or he's really cracked up. And I think that as we begin to take inventory on what those wounds are, and then clear away the dust, so to speak, and step into our truth and clear lens of perception, I think that's so, is that we all could do this. It's not a magical process. As we self-reflect, as we self-correct, as we tell the truth, as we morph out of these wounds of childhood, then we're all going to be in a better position to stop projecting, stop imploding, exploding, as
yes, you
Walt likes to say.
Do not implode or explode, but call us and unload. And again, the number is area code 323-843-2826.
Thank you.
You might want to raise your microphone just a smidge.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Amber. Really,
Yeah,
very
I
much
mean,
appreciate
thanks
it.
so much
This
for
is
that
not going
comment.
to stay here, but I'll try.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So I wanted to start with an article that came out this week from a gentleman who has smartphone addiction.
Are you sure it's a smartphone?
Yeah, it's a smartphone. He was too smart. He was too smart for him.